What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the City Light Project YouTube channel for another UFC picks and prediction video. Be sure to stay throughout the entire video to see my predictions until the end. Let's start with the first fight. I will give a little background on each fighter. I will give my prediction, and then I will tell you why. Let's get into it. Starting with Saimon Oliveira against Daniel Marcos. Saimon Oliveira, 18 wins, 4 losses. He's 31 years old. At 135 pounds, he has 5 KO TKO, 11 submissions, and 2 decisions. He lost his official UFC debut to Tony Gravely. Before then, he entered the UFC via Contender Series and went on a hell of a run before that as well. Looking at his opponent, Daniel Marcos, out of Peru. 13 wins, 0 losses. The man is undefeated, 29 years old, 7 KO TKO, 0 submissions, 6 decisions. He's currently on a hell of a win streak. Like I said, he's undefeated, folks, undefeated, making his UFC debut via Contender Series. Important to note that he won on Contender Series via unanimous decision and mostly spent his career in 300 Sparta. For this one, the first fight on the early prelims, I'm going with Daniel Marcos. 13-0, he's about to be 14-0. Again, like I said, 7 KO TKOs. This guy has some striking. He has decent takedown defense. He's good at getting right back up. I believe that he does have a grappling advantage. Now, it's not the most technical style grappling, but he's so good at scrambling. He beat a solid opponent on Dana White Contender Series, and every time that opponent threatened him with the takedown, he got right back up or stuffed them in that fight. I think this one's going to be close. I know the betting odds have it pretty close, but as far as KO power and finishing ability on the feet with the striking, I have to give the edge to Marcos. Again, it's going to be a close one. Marcos is my pick. Next, Josiane Nunes against Zara Farin dos Santos. Nunes is 9-1 at 145 pounds, 29 years old, 7 KO TKO, 2 decisions. This chick can punch hard, ladies and gentlemen. This chick can punch hard. Currently on a win streak herself. She's fought pretty much everywhere and is now on a 2-fight win streak in the UFC. 1 via KO punches, 1 via unanimous decision. Looking at her opponent, Zara Farin dos Santos, 6 wins, 4 losses, 36 years old, 4 KO TKO, 2 decisions. She's on a 2-fight losing streak right now in the UFC. Lost to decent opponents, especially back in 2019. Oh, so she hasn't been active at all. Megan Anderson, Felicia Spencer back in 2019 and 2020. And those are her only 2 UFC fights. She fought in BAMA, BC MMA, Cage, LFN, and The Zone. I mean, this one seems pretty straightforward, folks, and I'm sure the betting odds have it in favor of her as well. We're going with Nunes. Again, 9-1, 7 KO TKO. This chick punches hard. Only 1 loss early in her career to freaking Taila Santos, the woman that everybody and myself think actually would have beat Valentina Shevchenko if it had not been for that accidental headbutt. Her opponent is big for the division, but Zara Farin is not technical. She does not hit as hard. She hasn't fought in 2 years. She doesn't have a really good record anyways, let's be perfectly honest. Nunes has good cardio, good scrambles, sets a tremendous pace, one of the hardest hitting females in the UFC, in MMA, behind Amanda Nunes. Ironically enough. That's my pick. Lock it in. Josiane Nunes. On to the next one. Warlley Alves against Nicholas Dalby. Warlley Alves, 32 years old, 14 wins, 5 losses, 4 KO TKO, 6 submissions, 4 decisions. He lost his last fight to Jeremiah Wells via KO in the 2nd round. Traded wins and losses before then. He's actually been in the UFC for quite some time. Has wins over a young Colby Covington, has experience fighting Kamaru Usman. As you can see, been in the UFC 2014. His opponent, Nicholas Dalby, the Danish Dynamite, 38 years old, 20 wins, 4 losses, 6 KO TKO, 4 submissions, 10 decisions, 1 draw, 2 no contest. I mean, a journeyman, a veteran through and through. is Nicholas Dalby. He did beat Claudio Silva in his last fight back earlier in 2022, in the summer of 2022. Lost to Tim Means, beat Daniel Rodrigues, beat Cowboy Alex Oliveira. Was on actually an impressive win and, well, mixed win and no contest streak before his loss to Tim Means, and before coming back to the UFC, actually went on a little decent run in Cage Warriors as well. Important to note though, his last few contests have ended in decision. This is another tough pick. I think Alves, and I think he wins by KO. I think that's the only way he's going to win, to be perfectly honest. Could go either way, as I wrote here in my notes. It's a tough pick. It can go either way. If it goes past 1.5 rounds, then my pick is probably wrong, and Dalby's going to win this unanimous decision, as Dalby, despite being 38 years old, I think just has a better gas tank than Alves, but it should end in Alves' favor, and it should end early. Warley's way younger, balanced in his finish, 4 KO, 6 sub, 4 decision, and Dalby doesn't KO his opponents. If Dalby can last the onslaught, last again a round and a half against the hard-hitting Alves, then Dalby could probably win this one. But I'm going with Alves. I'm going with the hard-hitting puncher, the hard-hitting, fast-paced guy who will put on a hell of a show, at least in the first round, and I think he'll get it done there. Locking it in, we're going with Warley Alves. Next, the first of 2 Bonfim brothers on this card, Ismail Bonfim against fan favorite Terrence McKinney. Ismail Bonfim, 18-3. He's 27 years old. Talk about being balanced in his career as well. 8 KO, TKO, 4 submission, 6 decisions, and what a win streak he is on as well. His last loss was to Renato Carneiro back in Jungle Fights. He's also lost to Adriano Moraes, former 1 champion, and Jefferson Lucas in Prequel Combat, Rock Strike, and then spent a lot of his time also fighting in Jungle Fight. He had a hell of a run, or I shouldn't say a hell of a run. He fought some solid guys in his 2 LFA fights as well, and had an impressive fight beating Nariman Abbasov via Dana White's Contender Series. Yeah, it was a unanimous decision, but it was an impressive win nonetheless. His opponent, T-Rex Terrence McKinney, 13-4 in his pro MMA career. He's 28 years old, 5 KO, TKO, 8 submissions, 0 decisions. So he likes to finish his opponents, folks. Fighting at lightweight are both of these guys. He won his last fight against Eric Gonzalez. He lost against Drew Dober. However, he took that fight on short notice, and he put an onslaught on Drew Dober early in the round. Now, I know he lost via knee and punches, TKO in the first round, but he actually rocked Dober early as he went in, pushed all his chips in the middle, knowing that, it was a tough weight cut. He had just fought, didn't have a full training camp. He figured if he was going to end this fight, he was going to do it quickly, and actually brought the heat onto Drew Dober. Beat Farazim, Matt Frivola. I mean, decent guys. Now, I love Matt Frivola, the steamroller Frivola. No disrespect there. But at the time when they fought, June of 2021, they were both at a similar level, both on a similar entry into the UFC. Fought a couple of fights at LFA as well. Lost in Contender Series, but eventually made the UFC regardless. Fans are going to hate me for this one. We're going with Ismail Bonfim on this one. Look, I love T-Rex. I love Terrence McKinney. I love the personality. I just watched his interview on Mipe Sports as well. Go check out Mipe Sports. Awesome YouTube channel. I think Ismail is his biggest test. 3 decisions in a row. I get it for Bonfim, but fought harder competition on LFA in his last few fights than I believe Terrence McKinney has. And Abbasov on Dana White Contender Series, he is no joke. Abbasov had a 27-4 record, and his other 2 wins in LFA, 13-4, 12-3. Now, at the time, less losses, obviously. Bonfim can get KO'd by McKinney's power. McKinney does have that one-punch power. He does have that striking ability. He is a big guy. But I believe Bonfim, he can withstand an early onslaught and will be able to win this fight. I think his cardio is better. I think he can fight at a higher pace longer. These brothers are nasty. I think the first of 2 is going to win on this card when the first Bonfim makes the appearance on the early side of the card. Lock it in. Sorry, T-Rex. You're still going to be a star. You're going to get it next time. But the Bonfim brothers, they are here to make a statement in Brazil. Next, we got Luan Larceda against Cody Stamen. Luen Lacerda, 12 wins, 1 loss, 30 years old. Love the shorts there. Love the shorts there. 10 submissions, 2 decisions. Fight out of the same gym that Jose Aldo calls home. Nova União, not surprised given the 10 submissions that he is a submission specialist. Fought in LFA and Shudo Brazil primarily. And if you look at his wins, it's via decision or submission. And look at them: knee bar, arm bar, triangle choke, guillotine, rear naked choke, heel hook. The guy is a specialist and very dangerous on the ground. Cody the Spartan Stamen, a true veteran. I wouldn't say necessarily a journeyman yet, but he is a veteran in the UFC. 33 years old, 20 wins, 5 losses, 7 KO, TKO, 2 decisions, or sorry, 11 decisions, 2 submissions, fighting at 135 pounds. Should say has 1 draw in there as well. He beat an older Eddie Wineland, I get it, via TKO in the first round. Not the biggest accomplishment given where Wineland was in his career, and was on a 3-fight losing streak before then. But it is important to note, Merab, Jimmy Rivera, draw with Song Yadong, Said Nurmagomedov. I mean, the guy in recent years anyways, in the last 3 to 4 years, the guy's only really lost to insane competition. Aljamain Sterling, the current champion. Song Yadong, draw, the young prospect. Jimmy Rivera, Merab, Said Nurmagomedov, all top guys. Definitely a test for the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialist. I don't know if it's hot takes for me up and down the card. I don't know if they're flaming hot, but I am going with the newcomer, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialist, Lacerda. Again, submission galore. 10 of his 13 wins have come by, or 10 of his 12 wins, I should say, have come by submission. Dangerous, dangerous, dangerous grappler. Stamen is a likable veteran with all the tools, folks. He's got all the tools, but I think he can get out wrestled / out grappled, as shown by his record. Look, I'm employing Gravedigger Jones rules here, one of our exclusive members on the live stream. And if you aren't an exclusive member yet, shout out to the exclusive members, by the way. Love you all. You all are amazing. Gravedigger Jones, his rule, if you don't know, go with the Brazilian. We're going with the Brazilian. We're going with the submission specialist. We're going with Lacerda. Next. Oh, this is a fun one. This one's not going to be fun at all. This one's going to be a sad one. This is going to be a sad one, folks. We got Shamil Abdurakhimov. 20 wins, 7 losses, 41 years old, 6'3", and they are heavyweights. We are in the heavyweight division right now, 258 pounds, 9 KO, TKO, 4 submission, 7 decision. He's lost his last 3 fights. Pavlovich, no shame in that. Chris Dawkins, a lot of shame in that. Curtis Blades, no shame in that. And was on a 3-fight win streak before then, beating Tybura, Arlovsky, and Chase Sherman. He's lost to Derek Lewis. Beat Walt Harris and Anthony Hamilton, lost Tim Johnson. You guys can see the rest. His opponent, Gelton Almeida, 17 wins, 2 losses, 31 years old, 6'4", 217 pounds. Again, the era of athletic heavyweights is here, ladies and gentlemen. 6 wins, 11 submissions. Or 6 KO, TKO, I should say, 11 submissions. And he's on absolute tear in the UFC. Yes, 3 fights in a row, and he has not even gone out of the first round. He did get to the second round in Dana White's Contender Series. I mean, this guy is an absolute threat. He's one of the more popular prospects in the UFC among the diehards, and the guy is built like an absolute Greek god. I don't know how anyone isn't picking the roided up, jacked up, in shape, Gelton Almeida here. This 17-2. He's fought in the PFL before joining the UFC. Huge prospect. He doesn't even look like a heavyweight. He just looks, like I said, chiseled like a Greek god. Jacked up, in shape. His opponent's old. Sure, his opponent has an Ov in his name. He likes to wrestle and can stand and utilize his jab look. Gelton Almeida, he's getting this one. Early submission. Early submission, or gets on top of him and wins via ground and pound, but I truly think he's going to get an early submission. First round, he's an in-shape heavyweight. He's going to out-grapple the hell out of the 41-year-old. Even the 41-year-old can stuff some of the takedowns. Gelton Almeida, he will use his grappling to his advantage. He will set something up via on the feet or up against the cage. Shamil's a 41-year-old without a impressive resume in the heavyweight division at the UFC, up against one of the rising heavyweight and potentially even light heavyweight contenders, depending on how he wants to play out his career in Jailton Almeida. Going with Jailton Almeida, it's going to be an easy one. I can't wait to look at the betting odds the day of the fight when they close, because this one's going to be absolutely insane. Jailton Almeida, and I'll even add a little bit more sprinkle. First round submission. Let's get on to the next one. Thiago Moisés against Melquizael Costa. Thiago Moisés, 16-6 in his pro MMA career, 27 years old, 155 pounds, 3 KO, TKO, 7 submission, 6 decision. He's training out of American Top Team. He was on a 2-fight losing streak back in the win column this last summer in 2022. For being a relatively young guy, got a lot of experience in the UFC. He's got a lot of experience fighting high-level guys, journeyman, experienced fighters. Made it to the UFC via Contender Series Season 1, Contender Series Brazil back in 2018. Before then, had some experience on LFA, RFA, and then in some smaller promotions as well. Looking at his opponent, Melquizael Costa, 19 wins, 5 losses, 26 years old, 7 KO, TKO, 6 submissions, 6 decisions, and he fights out of Shootabox Baru. Again, shoot box, absolute savage of a gym there, producing some unbelievable fighters both in the past and present. He's on a 2-fight win streak, one in Prisas combat and LFA. Before suffering his first loss, he was on a hell of a win streak as well, making his UFC debut on, I believe, 1 or 2 weeks notice is Costa. So again, Costa's coming to this fight short notice, doesn't have the experience in the UFC of a Moisés, and that's kind of what I wrote in my notes predominantly. Just lacks the experience, does Costa. And again, on short notice, he's gonna get another chance in the UFC, win or loss. I 100% believe that. The UFC is very kind to guys who and gals who take fights on short notice. He has, and this is talking about Moisés, he's fought high-level grapplers already. He's been dominant in his last wins. 27 years old, he's still so young with a wealth of UFC experience. And let's be honest, the competition has been awesome for Moisés as well. He's lost to Joel Alvarez and Islam Makhachev. Islam Makhachev loss has kind of aged well now, given that he's one of the more dominant champions, that he's a dominant lightweight and the champion right now. Looked good in his last win, looked good against Alex Hernandez, Bobby Green, and Michael Johnson. So again, I think experience factor in having a full camp. Moisés, that loss to Makhachev, it's marinating nicely now. Moisés is my pick. Lock it in. Next, we have Gregory Rodrigues against Brunno Ferreira. Gregory Robocop Rodrigues, 13 wins, 4 losses, 8 KO, TKO, 3 submissions, 2 decisions. Robocop, I swear, he looks like your 50-year-old father, yet he's only 30. Probably on the secret juice with Costa and Almeida, no? Anyways. 185 pounds, 8 KO, TKO, 3 submissions, 2 decisions, 13 wins, 4 losses. How about his crazy fight against Chitty last time, where Chitty had him straight up, forehead split in half, artery showing. Chitty almost had him in that first round. I mean, Chitty almost won the fight based on the cut man ending the fight, but no, Robocop comes back and ends up winning in the second round with Chitty gasses via TKO. The guy is an absolute machine. Beat Julian Marquez before that. Lost to Armin Petrosian, but that one could have gone either way. I do believe Armin Petrosian won that fight, but it was a very close decision and went on a solid run, 4-fight win streak before that loss. Brunno Ferreira, the Hulk, 9 wins, 0 losses. Yes, he is undefeated in his pro MMA career. 6 KO, TKO, 3 submissions. He's never gone to a decision. 30 years of age. Relatively new in his fighting career compared to Robocop. He will be making his UFC debut. I believe this one is also on short notice. Look, his win on Contender Series was unbelievable. TKO, swinging for the fences in the first round. It's fun. Future FC and a bunch of other promotions here on the regional scene. Again, undefeated, was invited to Contender Series and delivered. Now he's going to get a huge test against Robocop. And I can't say this enough. This is an absolutely crazy test for a guy making his UFC debut on short notice. Ferreira likes to throw down. Robocop will 100% and gladly engage in that firefight. Brunno taking this fight on short notice. I mean, his game plan is going to be evident. He's going to go in there. He's going to swang and bang. He's going to try to knock out RoboCop. Is he going to gas early? 100%. Whether he had a full camp or not, the way this guy fights, he gasses early because he puts it all out on the line in the first freaking round. Rodrigues can take damage. Clearly, did you not see his cut on his face last time? He's bigger, better cardio. He's used to the UFC, used to the big stage. This will be / likely be I say it will be, but it will likely be a scrap. I mean, man, does Ferreira have a puncher's chance? Absolutely. The guy hits like a freight train. I just don't think it will be enough. I don't think it will be enough. I think RoboCop will gladly stand and trade with him, and I think RoboCop will end this fight either in the first or second round. Next, I skipped one by mistake, folks. I skipped one by mistake. My apologies for that. We got Gabriel Bonfim against Mounir Lazzez. The second Bonfim fighting on this card. Gabriel Bonfim is 13-0. He is undefeated, 25 years of age, 3 KO, TKO, 10 submission, 0 decision. This guy ends his freaking fights. Also, going to be making his UFC debut, coming through Contender Series, where he won via Von Flue choke. That's right. OSP choke. It says shoulder here, but that ain't right. That ain't right. In the first round in his Contender Series fight, fought some killers on LFA, Future, Samurai. I mean, just like his brother. Just like his brother. I would say that he's even better than his brother, as he's got some KO power in his punches as well and has some nasty submissions and good grappling skills, is Gabriel Bonfim. His opponent, the sniper, Mounir Lazzez, 11-2 in his pro MMA career, is 35 years old, 8 KO, TKO, 0 submissions, 3 decisions. The sniper's got some power in his punches. He's 2-1 in the UFC. 2 of his wins have come via decision. Fought in UAE, he's fought in Brave, Phoenix. He's 35 years old, doesn't have too many fights to his name, but before joining the UFC, he only had 1 loss at Brave CF 23. I'm going with the second Bonfim. The Bonfins are going to sweep this card. They're going 2-0. Let's freaking go. He's got, like I said, he's got KO power, solid submissions, great grappling. He's dangerous everywhere. And the MMA Guru said this as well, as I've been listening to every MMA YouTube channel, everyone who made predictions and betting predictions list. The MMA Guru said it best, and I agree with him wholeheartedly upon rewatching his Contender Series fight. He's explosive and dominant. He doesn't just find success in every position. He forces his opponent into the positions that he wants to excel in. It's going to be ground and pound TKO, I think, or a submission. Like, the guy is finishing his opponent. We're going with Bonfim. All right, back on track. We have the final fighter from the Pride era. That's right, the final fighter who the UFC absorbed upon buying Pride Fighting Championship, Maurício Shogun Rua against Ihor Potieria. Maurício Shogun Rua, 27 wins, 13 losses, 41 years old. 21 wins have come by KO, TKO, 1 submission, 5 decision. He's also got 1 draw in there as well. He lost his last 2 fights to Paul Craig and OSP. He beat Antonio Rogério Nogueira back in 2020. Draw with Paul Craig before then. Beat Tyson Pedro back when Tyson Pedro, I guess, couldn't even fight. Tyson Pedro's looking pretty good these days. Lost to Anthony Smith. Beat Villante, Corey Anderson, and Antonio Rogério Nogueira back in 2015. He's been fighting forever, folks. Look how long he's been in the UFC, and before then was an absolute star in Pride Fighting Championship. One of the most feared killers in the UFC and Pride in his prime, Maurício Shogun Rua. His opponent, Ihor Potieria, the Duelist. Really cool nickname, I will have to say. 26 years old, 18 wins, 3 losses, 8 KO, TKO, 6 submission, 4 decisions. So well-rounded in his mixed martial arts, but not the biggest names on his resume. He lost in his UFC debut to Nigamarianu. Won on Contender Series, and it was an impressive win on Contender Series, I will say that. But in World Warriors Fighting Championship, I mean, I don't even know who these guys are, folks. I don't even know who these guys are, but was riding a impressive win streak before getting the call to Contender Series and before his first loss in the UFC. The guy has punching power. The guy has some submission, but will it be enough? Unfortunately, I think it is enough. And before I even give my pick, my official pick, and you all know it now, it is Ihor Potieria. But before we lock it in and move on to the next fight, and before I even run down why I think he's going to win, I want to say in my heart, I want Shogun to win. I want Shogun to win. This is his retirement fight. He's told the UFC this. This is why it's in Brazil. If it was up to the UFC, he probably wouldn't even be fighting anymore, but they're like, fine. If you can help prop up this young guy and end your career in Brazil, that is a win-win. Giving him this last fight, I want Shogun to go out relatively on top. I want him to go out with the win in Brazil. I absolutely love and respect Shogun, everything that he did in Pride and the UFC. I mean, I still remember him being the next best thing in the UFC when they absorbed Pride's roster. It's crazy to think he's 41 years old now. It's crazy to think that that was almost 20 years ago. Like I said, I do not want to pick him, but I have to. Ihor Potieria, Shogun Rua, last of the Pride Fighting Championship guys. He's literally the last one currently on the UFC roster. He looked awful though in his last few fights. He's old, he's weathered, he's always injured, it seems like. It's because he's just like gone to war so many times. I'm rooting for him, and I hope he goes out on minimal damage, win or loss. I'm not sold on Potieria to be anything special in the UFC. He's been a can crusher his whole career, and this, you know, no disrespect to Shogun, but if he wins this one, I mean, add another can to his resume as Shogun is in his 40s. I hate that I'm even saying this. I want Shogun to win, but I'm locking in Potieria. All right, before I start crying, let's get to the next one. Paul Craig versus Johnny Walker. Paul Craig, the Bear Jew, out of Scotland, 35 years old. He's that old? He's 35 years old? Jeez. I thought he was younger. I thought he was at least 5 years younger. 16 wins, 5 losses, 3 KO TKO. What? What? The guy, what? 13 submissions. All right, that's more like it. 1 draw. For those who don't know, he is a pure submission specialist, as you will see here. He lost to Volkan Ozdemir literally because he kept pulling guard and just allowed Volkan to hit him. He was getting his ass kicked against Nikita Krylov and ended up getting a triangle choke sunk in when Krylov entered his guard. Beat Jamahal via TKO and punches. That's hilarious. Shogun Rua beat Enti Guzalov. Now check out the rest of his wins. Submissions. And this is no disrespect, but he is very much a guy who is, you know, I think he named his kid after Damian Maia. Like, that's how much respect he has for him. One of the greatest jiu-jitsu guys who's A, jiu-jitsu practitioners, and B, jiu-jitsu practitioners to get it done in MMA. 2-time title challenger was Damian Maia. Paul Craig, though, I mean, impressive nonetheless. Impressive record, 16-5, just being a submission specialist in mixed martial arts. His opponent, Johnny Glasschin Walker. Johnny Walker, 19-7 is the 30-year-old. 15 wins via KO, TKO, 3 submissions, 1 decision. Fighting out of Ireland is the Brazilian Johnny Walker. He won his last fight via submission to Ian Cutelaba. Before then lost to Jamal Hill, got knocked out, lost to Thiago Santos, unanimous decision. Beat Ryan Spann, that was an impressive win, I will say. Lost Nikita Krylov and Corey Anderson before that. And before the loss, Corey Anderson and Krylov, he was on an impressive win coming out of Contender Series, or going into Contender Series, and 2 fights in the UFC where he really got the attention of the fans in the UFC. His chin's been the problem, though. He gets knocked out fairly easy. Fun fighter, though. Fun fighter when he's on his game is Johnny Walker. Fun personality, too, is Johnny Walker, I will say. And I'm picking him to win this one. Look, I know I love Paul Craig, and people are going to laugh at me. Why do you like Paul Craig? I love jiu-jitsu, and I think it's hilarious, and I think it's awesome when the jiu-jitsu guys in this day and age can pull the Hoist Gracie and still get a win despite despite taking a beating before that, but not even landing punches and still can sink into submission. I respect that. I wouldn't be upset if Johnny Walker lost and Paul Craig won via submission. I'd be smiling as a jiu-jitsu guy myself, but Johnny Walker is winning this fight. Underrated grappling. He's Brazilian, folks. He's Brazilian. Underrated grappling, and he does not have to worry about getting KO'd against Paul Craig, okay? He does not have to worry about his glass chin in this one. Craig doesn't have KO power. Craig doesn't really strike. Walker can use his knees on the takedowns when Craig either gets rocked by something, goes for a desperation takedown, or if he doesn't time it right. Johnny Walker does have some Muay Thai and kickboxing prowess to his game. I think if Walker employs his knees in the clinch or while Craig tries to take him down, that's going to be the recipe for success. And even if Walker wants to go into Craig's guard, again, he's got underrated grappling. I don't think it's going to be it will obviously be a threat for him on the ground, but I don't think it's going to be as much of a threat as some of the other fighters that Paul Craig has defeated as of late. Craig is crafty and dangerous off his back, and he's also dangerous because he expects to take shots, to get in the pocket, either drag you to the ground, climb your back, go for the heel hook, maybe even an Imanari roll from the light heavyweight. We'll see, but he is dangerous and crafty. I mean, look at the Krylov win. He was getting his ass kicked and just waited for that one moment. I still think Johnny Walker takes this one. That is my pick. Lock it in. Next, we have Lauren Murphy against Jéssica Andrade. Lauren Lucky Murphy, 16-5 in her pro MMA career. She is 39 years old. 8 KO TKO, 1 submission, 7 decisions. She won her last fight against Miesha Tate on UFC on ABC 3. Before then, she lost a dominant loss. Before then, she lost to Valentina Shevchenko for the title and was on an impressive win streak before fighting for the title against Valentina Shevchenko. Ultimate Fighter alumni, I should say. I believe it was the Gaethje and Eddie Alvarez season. Looking at her opponent, the former title holder in the UFC, Jéssica Andrade, 23-9, and she's 31 years old. 9 KO TKO, 8 submission, 6 decision. And talk about her submissions. Her last win against Amanda Lemos, absolutely insane and unbelievable submission. Standing submission, standing arm triangle choke in the first round. Before then, she beat Cynthia Calvillo, lost to Valentina Shevchenko, beat Caitlin Chukagian, lost to Rose Namajunas, lost to Zhang Wei Li. You can see a trend here. She's literally cleaned out the division, has only lost to the best women fighters in the UFC, as you can see here. Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Wei Li, Rose, who she beat Rose once before. Valentina, she was a title holder. She's fought in 3 weight classes. Jéssica Andrade. Also training in Vegas now, if I'm not mistaken. This one's easy. I'm going with Jéssica Andrade. Again, 9 KO, 8 submissions, including a standing arm triangle choke. Let's fucking go. 6 decisions. She is a beast. She's only 31. She's got a wealth of experience. She's fought, lost, beat, and learned by stepping in the cage with absolute killers in the UFC. She kills everyone. Like I said, she's only lost to the best. Punches better than Murphy, grapples better than Murphy, just way better than Lauren Murphy all around. I'm glad Lauren Murphy is healthy again, as I know she faced some health issues and had some pretty tough times with her coaching staff and the people around her. But again, no match for Jéssica Andrade. That is my pick. Next, we have Gilbert Burns against Neil Magny. Gilbert Dorino Burns, 20 wins, 5 losses, 36 years young. 6 KO TKO, 8 submissions, 6 decisions. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialist, but has fallen in love with his knockout power, and he showed he could go toe-to-toe with the best of them. He lost to Khamzat Chimaev in a close decision. I know it says unanimous, but it was a close decision, and he's the only one to take Khamzat Chimaev to decision and actually do some damage on him. He beat Stephen Thompson before that. He lost to Mark Usman fighting for the title and went on a hell of a win streak before fighting for the title, beating Tyron Woodley, Damian Maia, Gunnar Nelson, Alexei Chunchenko, Mike Davis, Olivier Aubin-Mercier. The guy's an absolute savage. Again, he's a UFC veteran. He's been around for a while. However, since he's brought his striking into his arsenal, he's been an absolute killer. And again, Khamzat Chimaev, Gilbert Burns, one of the greatest fights I've seen in a long, long time. Looking at his opponent, the Haitian sensation, Neil Magny. 35 years old, 27 wins, 9 losses. Tough alumni. He's been in the UFC for so long, and he's huge. Or I shouldn't say huge. He's tall and lanky for the division, standing at 6'3", 7 KO, TKO, 4 submissions, 16 decisions. He has the most wins in the welterweight division in UFC history. Quick turnaround for him, as in November, he fought Daniel Rodrigues and beat him via submission. Before then, he lost to Shavkat Rakhmonov, rising contender, rising prospect in the UFC. Beat Jeff Neal, beat Max Griffin. I mean, just look at the names he's fought, ladies and gentlemen. Look at the freaking names he has fought. This guy is unbelievable. Look at all of them. And these were when they were in their prime, ladies and gentlemen. In their prime. Look, he's been in the UFC. I'm still scrolling. He's been in the UFC for so long. There we go. He's been in the UFC since 2013. How crazy is that? How crazy is that? The veteran, always game. Hell, he wanted to fight Chimaev. Before Burns fought him, he called out Chimaev, Neil Magny. This one's going to be tough. This one's going to be tough. I know everyone's expecting Burns to go out there, brawl, and or take him down and submit him. I don't think it's going to be that easy. Yeah, sure, maybe the takedowns will be a little easy, but Magny is such a veteran. Magny is such a dog. Let me look at my notes here. And first of all, I want to say I love both of them, so this one's just going to be just hard for me as a fan to watch. I mean, I'm sure the fight's going to be awesome, and I'll be riled up, but I like rooting for someone in fights, and I could totally see Magny taking this by decision. However, the plus 275 Neil Magny, you might as well drop some money on that. Magny's hit or miss, in my opinion. He's either on his game and he has like no issues in a fight, or he's kind of streaky, he's kind of off. And again, he took some damage against Rodrigues. Quick turnaround, whereas Burns is fresh, ready to go. Magny's got a great resume, as you saw, with tremendous wins in the UFC against very good opponents. He's been tested against good opponents, and this is it. This is it. Neil Magny, he wants to get into the top 5. He wants to have a title shot before it's too late for him. And he's 35 years old. He doesn't have too many years left in this game. At range, being the lankier and taller guy, he could pick Burns apart, let's be honest. And he throws straight punches. If he throws them at range, it could be an issue for Gilbert Burns. If Burns lands on his feet though and gets in the pocket, he's got that knockout power. He is dangerous. He's the better grappler. Unbelievable jiu-jitsu guy. I mean, I don't know. I feel like if Gilbert Burns gets a legit takedown, yeah, Neil Magny, if he's on, might be able to scramble out of it. But at the end of the day, I see Gilbert Burns winning this fight if he's going to win it. I predict Gilbert Burns to win, and it's either going to be by finish it's either going to be by TKO or it's going to be by finish. I don't think Gilbert Burns, if this goes the distance, wins the fight. However, I do think Gilbert Burns gets a finish, locking it in. That is my pick. On to the co-main event of the evening, and this is historic, ladies and gentlemen. What is it called? A quadrilogy? Is that the right term for it? Deiveson Figueiredo, Brandon Moreno 4, ladies and gentlemen. Deiveson Figueiredo, 21-2, 35 years old, 9 KO, TKO, 8 submission, 4 decision. Again, at 125, this guy's got knockout power. He's huge for the division. I don't know how much longer he's going to fight at 125 before moving up. I mean, he's 35 years old. He probably got a few more years left in him, and I imagine his body's not going to be able to take these weight cuts much longer. I mean, not surprised looking at his last opponents. Beat Brandon Moreno, lost to Brandon Moreno, draw with Brandon Moreno. Before them was on an absolute tear. Beat Alex Perez, Benavidez, twice, Tim Elliott, Pantoja. I mean, it's absolutely insane, the guys that he's beaten. He's cleaned out the division. He's cleaned out the division, which is why we've had to have so many fights against Brandon Moreno. Jungle Fight alumni as well. I mean, he's an absolute savage. He's an absolute killer. Have you seen his freaking celebrations digging the grave? I mean, he's a savage, Deiveson Figueiredo. His opponent, Brandon Moreno, the assassin baby, 20 wins, 6 losses, 29 years old. 4 wins by KO, TKO, 11 submissions, 5 decisions, and 2 draws for the Assassin Baby. He beat Kai Kara France for the interim belt back in July, before then lost a unanimous decision. I think it should have been a split decision, or honestly, I thought Moreno did enough to win that fight. I think he honestly did more in that fight, except Figueiredo dropped him a few more times in the eyes of the judges, did more damage, therefore the unanimous decision, but it was a lot closer than this unanimous decision title shows. He finished Deiveson Figueiredo in his fight before that, and then a draw for his first title fight in the UFC. He went on a tear to deserve that draw, being Brandon Royval, Formiga, Kai Kara France in their first fight, and then a draw to Askar Askarov. It's crazy to think that Brandon Moreno was cut by the UFC, lost to Sergio Pettis and Alexander Pantoja, went to LFA, came back to the UFC, and he's been an absolute star since. Again, folks, this is freaking historic. I can't even remember the last time, I guess. No, Tito and Chuck, they only fought 3 times. I cannot remember a time where 2 fighters have fought 4 times in their prime at the highest level. It's absolutely insane. I'm picking Brandon Moreno to win this one, folks. I'm picking Brandon Moreno. Draw on the first fight. He finished Figueiredo in the second, and then it was a close third fight. In my opinion, Moreno's up in those books. Always looks like he's winning the fights overall, in my opinion. Figgy knocks him down, though, and hey, that's how the judges are going to score it, so he always has a good chance to either win the judges over for a decision or to ultimately knock Brandon Moreno out. But Brandon Moreno for flyweight has an incredible chin, so I don't think he's getting knocked out. Can he stay on his feet, not get knocked down by Figueiredo, and really win over the judges in this one if it does go to decision? I think he can. Again, Moreno, in my opinion, is the better striker. He's the better jiu-jitsu guy. He's a better wrestler. I think he's better all around. But Figgy has the power. I got the power. Moreno's younger, active, and should take it. The weight cuts always seem to hurt Deiveson Figueiredo. And I mean, he doesn't look that great in the pictures that surfaced on Twitter this last week either. Figueiredo's been out for a whole year nursing a hand injury, while Moreno, well, he won the interim champ against a top contender in Kai Kara France, and he finished him with that liver kick. It should be an amazing fight. Figueiredo, Moreno are always amazing fights, but I have to give this one to the Assassin Baby, the Lego Land man himself, Brandon Moreno. Final fight, let's get into it. It's time! The main event of the evening. Oh my goodness. I'm excited for this one. Sweet Dreams Jamahal Hill against Glover Teixeira. Jamahal Sweet Dreams Hill kind of gifted the title shot here, let's be honest, because of everything that went on with Ankalaev and Jan Blachowicz. The Grand Rapids, Michigan native, 11 wins, 1 loss, 7 KO TKO, 0 submission, 4 decision. He's on a 3-fight win streak, knocking out Jimmy Crute, knocking out Johnny Walker, and going the distance against Thiago Santos. He was TKO'd against Paul Craig, which we talked about earlier. Funny enough. Again, he's getting the title shot because there's not really anyone else. He's the next guy up. And what was the UFC going to do? Pick Paul Craig? He does have knockout power. He is the first Contender Series alumni to be fighting for the belt. I imagine Sean O'Malley will be next. And again, he hasn't been in the UFC for too long. He won his first fight in the UFC, no contest in the second, won his third, lost to Paul Craig, and has gone on a respectable 3-fight win streak since. Is it enough, though, to take down the much older but experienced former training partner of Chuck Liddell, now training partner of the champion, the middleweight champion, Alex Pereira? 43-year-old Glover Teixeira, 33 wins, 8 losses, 18 wins by KO TKO, 10 by submission, 5 by decision. Glover likes to finish his fights, ladies and gentlemen. He lost to Jiří Procházka in a fight that he was winning. If he would have lasted 30 more seconds, he would have won that fight. He was gassed. He made a couple of mistakes at the end and ended up giving up his neck and losing via rear naked choke. It was kind of a modified rear naked choke though. Before then went on an absolute tear, took out the champion, became the champion against Jan Blachowicz, beat Thiago Santos, beat Anthony Smith, beat Krylov, beat Kutalaba, beat Carl Robertson. I mean, lost Corey Anderson, no shame in that. Beat Jared Cannonier, lost to Gustafsson when Gustafsson was in his prime. No shame in that. Got knocked out by the late Anthony Johnson, no shame in that. And again, after losing to John Jones, he lost to a prime Phil Davis 1-3 fight win streak. I mean, the guy is an absolute legend. I cannot believe what he's doing still at 43 years old. Glover Teixeira. Let's address the elephant in the room. Glover Teixeira, he old. He didn't look old against Jiří Procházka. He went 5 rounds with Jiří Procházka. Jamahal Hill, he's gone 5 rounds against Thiago Santos. He didn't look good in round 2 and 3. I mean, he started to look gassed, okay? He started to look gassed. Elephant in the room, the age of Teixeira and the punching power of Hill. Obviously, if Hill's going to win this fight, it's going to be with his punching power. The guy doesn't have that great of a ground game. It's okay. He trains out of primarily a jiu-jitsu gym, so it is okay, but it is nothing. It is nothing, not even close to the level of a Glover Teixeira. Now, the one thing is, will Teixeira's age catch up to him in this one? Will this be the fight where we see that decline? I don't think so. I really do not think so. He's in shape. He was ready to fight a month ago. Glover, if he can take punches, take a few shots from Hill, or match the striking on his feet, I think Glover will be able to utilize more of his tools as Hill starts fighting with some urgency and goes, uh-oh, my punches aren't knocking him down. Uh-oh, my big shots aren't hurting him. I'm going to have to adjust on the fly. I think Glover will take advantage of that with all of his tools that he possesses. I mean, Glover can utilize his takedowns. He can utilize his Brazilian jiu-jitsu as the fight goes on. And Glover Teixeira, he has 18 fucking knockouts in his pro MMA career. I think that he can stand and bang with a guy like Jamahal Hill. Glover proved he could go the distance against young strikers. Hill's pace, like I said, noticeably slowed down against Thiago Santos. Now, I know Glover and Jiří, they slowed down too, but the point is, Glover was winning that fight, and I truly believe that Jiří is a more technical, different, unique, I get it, but a better striker overall than Jamahal Hill. Again, Jamahal Hill, he's got a puncher's chance. Let's see if he's worked on his grappling accordingly, but let's be honest, Jiří was in better shape as well than a Hill, and Glover and him were able to fight a war for 5 rounds where Glover was winning that fight. Look, if age doesn't catch up to him in this one, if he's good to go, Glover is expected to win this one. Glover should win this one. I think Glover becomes the light heavyweight champion again, folks. Like and subscribe. That's it for the video. I will see you folks on the next live stream. Comment and let me know if you like my picks. Comment and let me know what your picks are, and we'll see you on the next one.